Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder. And today on the show, our first segment, we're going to discuss dwarf lilacs. Second up is going to be, if you're a fan of hot peppers, you may have heard of the Scoville scale. It is the way you can judge how hot a pepper is without having to taste it, period. Well, I don't know. Are you a hot pepper person,
No,
Aaron?
sir.
No. I don't know. But some people are crazy. They want this like Carolina Reaper. I'll look at it from the Scoville scale. We'll explain what it is in our second segment. It's the season to sharpen your horticultural vocabulary. We spew a lot of jargon on the show, and at the Garden Center, we're going to define some of the most confusing gardening terms in our third segment. Did your production from your tomato plants decline last year? Did the fruit have like a weird scab on the bottom of it? In our fourth segment, we'll discuss blossom end rot. And what's bugging you? Chinch bugs are a surface-feeding insect that can turn your lawn yellow in no time. We'll discuss this destructive lawn insect during our final segment. So stay tuned and we'll be back in the garden right after this.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York Tri-State Area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So, lilacs. There are regular lilacs that are, people say lilac trees, but they don't start out that way. They look like a shrubby plant, and that they grow and they get to be about 8 to 10 feet at some point. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about dwarf lilacs, mostly Korean lilacs, and that they stay more of a landscape shrub foundation plant size of about 4 to 6 feet. They can be trimmed. They sometimes get to be about 4 to 6 feet wide. So they're, it's a kind of, think of an azalea on steroids, but it's deciduous. Now, the Myri pablin is probably the most known without you knowing it because it doesn't have a really good name to it. Variety of dwarf lilac. Spreading lilac, reddish purple buds that open to fragrant pale lilac flowers. Blooms like crazy, usually mid-May. And that it's one of those plants that if you looked at it in April, you'd say, oh, I think it's dead. But it blooms at an early age. Looks great in like a landscape border, a background to like a perennial garden. It forms like a low hedge, and it is deciduous. It loses its leaves. Now, the second most known dwarf lilac is Miss Kim, and it grows a little slower, and it's about 6 foot tall eventually with age. And I always love the question we get at Bloomers where we're in the nursery, and how big does it get? And the question really is, in whose lifetime? Because if you're looking at a dawn redwood, which we're going to discuss later in the show, that will get to be gigantic, but you and I will never see it. That there's General Sherman, which is in the redwood forest in California. I mean, it's like you can't. 20 feet wide. It's crazy. So with that, if you have whether it's Miss Kim or any variety of dwarf lilac, after they bloom, you can cut them back. So don't worry about it getting too big. And it blooms later. Miss Kim blooms a little bit later than other lilacs. Like everything blooms in the spring. You've got hydrangeas, you've got azaleas, but you have to kind of wait for Miss Kim after those guys are done, and then Miss Kim will start to open up. Best part of lilacs is their fragrance, and it extends the season. Again, it has those purple buds and has highly fragrant lavender blue flowers. And in the fall, the foliage, you get a little benefit where the foliage turns a little burgundy and very hardy. And also, it's one of those things where we always worry about what our hardiness zone is. This is one of those plants that they can grow down south because it has excellent powdery mildew resistance. Great for borders, mass plantings, again, deciduous. But again, the variety is resistant to that powdery mildew. And if you've ever had regular lilacs and they're older, sometimes in the summer, you all of a sudden get a powder that coats all of the leaves, and then that starts to really kind of peter out. It's sometimes a shame because it looks as if it's killing the plant. Now, there's a variety called Baby Kim, and that Baby Kim also fragrant, but it's the smallest lilac to date. But you get a lot of flower power in that small area. It's a glossy dark green foliage and an abundance of fragrant purple blooms that don't fade to white, and has a useful rounded habit that fits into just about any sunny spot. It brings the joy of lilacs into a neater, tidier package so you can enjoy the flower and the fragrance without having to have a big plant. So we're talking how big? 2 to 2.5 foot square, basically. Now, how about boomerang lilac? That's a proven winner. Boomerang lilac, it doesn't flower. It's called boomerang for a reason, that it doesn't flower just once. You get regular bloom cycles. Now, it's periodic, so it's not going to bloom continually all summer long, but it will go through cycles where it will bloom on its new growth and set bud there and then bloom. So we're talking about midsummer into fall. It's a bit smaller than other regular lilacs, and this has a look more like the traditional lilac, 4 to 6 feet, and also has a nice rounded shape, and it looks good anywhere. The star-like flowers are beautiful. Classic lilac purple are sweetly scented, and that's the actual blossoms, but it has that traditional cluster lilac look. They are disease resistant. No worries about brown foliage to spoil the show. And it's sun loving. And one thing that we hadn't mentioned, it's deer resistant. Something I personally need to pay more attention to. It does rebloom, and again, it doesn't bloom once. It keeps going. Let's say fragrance. Fragrance is unmistakable, where it is a pollinator on top of that. So we're talking about everything from bees to butterflies. Hummingbirds will visit it, but it's primarily more for the insect side of pollinators. And it is just a great plant. If you want to prune it to keep it smaller, you do so immediately after the spring bloom. So like the first bloom that you get in spring, right after that, and it's done blooming, that's when you cut it back. Never, ever cut lilacs back in fall, winter, or early spring. What you'll end up doing is you remove all the flower buds, and then you're going, how come my lilac never blooms? And it's because you're cutting off all the flowers at the wrong time. So right after it blooms is the best way to go ahead and prune them. And again, it's springtime bloom, not like, it's blooming in, I don't know, say it rotates back to blooming in August. Not then. It's that first blossom. Then you cut it back after those blossoms fade, okay? And then it will bloom. And we've talked about this already on the show about hydrangeas for sure. It blooms on its new wood. So what you're going to do, that old wood blossom that you get first in spring, that's what you cut back after its blooms begin to fade. Let's see. We got, again, a light trim after the seed head develops. Like you just go ahead and cut those seed heads off. That's okay. That's okay. And it's just a great plant. So again, that is, for Proven Winners credit, they launched Boomerang and with a big fanfare a bunch of years ago. So long ago, I can't even remember. And Martha Stewart was behind it, and they were pushing. It's like, wow, this thing is great. Quite frankly, it turned out the plant stunk. So they pulled it off the market and did some more hybridizing, did some more work with the plant, and got it to the point where it is now. It is a viable option for those who want lilacs. So it's not just let's throw it out there and make it so that it's going to be, sold, and we don't really care how the plant does. But again, lilacs are a terrific pollinator. It is resistant to deer. It gives you a fragrance like no other plant, and it just is something that you always have room for, no matter how big your garden is. You can go with the Dwarf Korean varieties, or you can go with a standard variety that's on the small side, like the Boomerang. Or you could go with the shrub type that grows into a tree, which is the typical standard lilac that you would think of. Either way, it's a great plant. Go look for them at your garden center this weekend. We'll be right back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks, Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So the Scoville scale, it's the way you can judge how hot a pepper is without having to taste it. We have a pack of peppers here in the studio with us. So if you go on to YouTube, you can subscribe and please give us, ring that bell. We have serrano peppers, okay? And right on the tag, which I'm really grateful for, they didn't used to do this, but it has the Scoville heat unit. So if you see SHU, that's what that stands for. And it says 22,000. What does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, it's crazy. Like pure capsian pepper is 16 million. So this is relatively in the middle as far as hot peppers go. You know, and serranos, they're more of a mild Mexican, probably, where you would eat it and say it's got a little kick, period. Now, things like bell peppers are zero. They don't have that heat that you would get. Carolina Reaper, if you're eating Carolina Reapers, you better regularly see a gastro doctor. You're burning a hole in your stomach. It has 1,400,000 to 2,200,000 SHU. So Scoville, on the Scoville, that's the hottest pepper that you can get. There's Trinidad Scorpion, ghost peppers. There's even chocolate jalapenos are pretty high up there. But how did they figure this out? So Scoville wanted to know and have some way that he could tell the pungency of the peppers and chilies, because he was interested in the chilies' potential health benefits and uses and needed a way to quantify their strength in research. So how did it work? First, an alcohol extract of capsaicin oil is obtained from dried test pepper, period. The oil then is diluted with sugar after differing concentrations sampled by taste testers, period. I always think, you're all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, they're all big brothers getting their little brothers to try it. Hey, Mikey. And that, is this hot? Taste this. I'll give you $1. The peppers then assigned a Scoville heat unit with respect to the dilution required for, the dilution required for the burn to no longer be sensed. So if you eat a hot pepper, do you eat bread? Do you eat it? It's actually sugar is the thing that will be used to make it not hot. So keep that in mind. There's a commercial that's out right now that is like, it's a scene where they're at they're tasting hot wings, and that the chef who made them, she says, don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. I don't know if you've ever had it, but even the leaves of some really hot peppers, if you're planting them and you get that oil from the leaves on your fingers and you wipe it on your face is burning. Your face is burning. So that's a one time I would say wear gloves. So they figured this out. So it's not so much, it's how much of the concentrate do they need to bring that heat down. So, if a pepper rates at 5,000 Scoville heat units, then the oil obtained from the extract must be diluted 5,000 times, again, with that sugar mixture to be brought down where it's barely detectable. Okay. I don't know. Habaneros, for instance, 580,000 SHU. Scotch bonnet, 350,000 Scoville units. Devil's tongue, there you go. That's a nice one. 300,000 Scoville units. Tabasco, 50,000. So Tabasco is relatively mild compared to some of these other ones. Jalapenos, 10,000. I'm looking through the list here. And poblano, which does have a little bit of heat, but then again, when it comes to this, I'm not a hot pepper guy. TJ, do you eat hot peppers?
No, not really.
No?
Not a big fan.
Really? I don't know. There are some people that just, they want to sweat when they're eating a hot pepper. Not me.
I like hot wings, like buffalo wings.
Well,
but
that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. So, you want them real hot?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
So you do. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
Okay, yeah, then essentially, yeah, I guess I do.
Yeah, because, they rate, they actually rate wings based on the Scoville scale on some places. So, I don't know. Maybe it's the Dutch boy in me that I just,
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't know. Anyway, so make sure when you're buying your peppers for this vegetable season to plant in your garden, and if you want to fool your friends, make them burn their tongue out of their mouth. Carolina Reapers are going to be the hottest. Then there's the Thai Scorpions, and then the Ghost Peppers. I don't understand it, but I have a lot of people. We sell a lot of Carolina Reaper peppers. So make sure that you're checking to see where it rates on that Scoville scale if you're not sure how hot you want it. So that's how you do it. And it's easy enough. There are plenty, at Bloomers, we have an actual scale that's right by where we sell the peppers. And we actually display them from 0 to the Carolina Reapers at 2.2 million Scoville units. So we have them that way so our customers have an easy way to shop. It's like, all right, that end is going to be sweet peppers. That end is going to burn the tongue out of my mouth. So check the tag. Hopefully they'll all start using the Scoville scale the same way that these Serranos are. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. We are proud to announce that Bloomers in the Garden has partnered with Renewal by Andersen of Greater Philadelphia, Delaware, South Jersey, and Southern Maryland. Renewal by Andersen is the top window and door company in the United States, specializing in replacement windows and doors. You might be thinking right now, what the heck do windows have to do with gardening? Well, Renewal by Andersen makes this beautiful garden bay window that's energy efficient and made from recycled materials. It's perfect for growing the finest indoor plants possible. When you are looking out your windows filled with plants in your beautiful garden, you don't want to see old windows that are cloudy, warped, or even rotting. That's why people in the horticulture community love Renewal by Andersen. Not only do we want our gardens to be beautiful, but their homes as well. Renewal by Andersen participates in horticultural events such as flower shows, earth days, and eco fairs. To get more information and set up a free home consultation, please visit www.philadelphiawindow.com and be sure to tell them Bloomers in the Garden sent you.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff.
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Conifer, evergreen, deciduous, broadleafed evergreen, annual, perennial, pre-emergent, post-emergent, common name, botanical name, Latin name. Let's make some sense of some of these misunderstood terms. A lot of times you'll go to the garden center and they'll say, oh, it's a perennial, it's an annual. It's a biannual. Okay. An annual, like impatiens, begonias, marigolds, all those petunias that you see, they are annuals, and that they will grow where they're planted for a year. Now, to mess you up even further, sometimes they'll grow, they'll flower, they'll pollinate, their seeds will drop, and all of a sudden you're looking through, all of a sudden they're growing again the next year. Now, the original plant died and didn't come back. It's just those seeds that dropped, but you can't rely on that. These are a one season and done, and that's how you have to understand. An annual, once a year, annual is a one and done. Now, all right, perennials. Perennials come back every year from its root system. It may or may not die back to the ground, but it will regrow each spring or summer. So perennials like, say, hostas are a reliable perennial. There's thyme. There is, let's see, go through the list. Heuchera, lavender. All of these are perennials. So it comes back every year. Now, this will mess you up. Foxglove, okay, evening primrose, Canterbury bells, sweet William, hollyhocks, forget-me-nots, evening primrose, Queen Anne's lace, and even black-eyed Susans are biennial. Biennial are plants that will grow for 2 years and then mainly die off. So if you have foxglove that you've planted or you have hollyhocks and all of a sudden it's like, what's up? They're not here anymore. I planted them 2 years ago. They are biennials. You get 2 years and then they're done. Now, the good thing is, like for instance, black-eyed Susans. Black-eyed Susans are like a weed. They seem to always be there, but they're regerminating from their seed that they drop. Those brown little centers of the plants, that little cone, like in coneflower, that they're regerminating from the seed and coming back. You'll get some of that in some of the other plants, especially like hollyhocks. But what happens is a bird will eat those and drop them, and all of a sudden you planted them out front and they're in the backyard. So there are some perennials, let's see, that are biennials. How can I explain this? They are sold as a perennial, but they are true biennials. So you get 2 years. So they come back after the second year, so that for that third year, they may not come back because that's the type of plant that they are. So 2-year cycle, and then it's over. So just be aware. And again, their best information is from the tags. And it will say on there that it's biennial or biannual, and that the way that you get it past that 2-year cycle is where it will need to reseed. All right, here's a simple one, right? Evergreen versus deciduous. Broadleafed evergreen, conifer, semi-evergreen. Okay. And there are things that break the rules always. Deciduous conifers. What the heck does that mean? So what's a deciduous conifer? A larch is a deciduous conifer. A dawn redwood, and I was always so proud. Metazochoia glyptosteroides is the botanical name, and it's just fun to say. But that's a dawn redwood. Bald cypress. I have a bald cypress. It's getting enormous, and it's starting to break up not only by my pond, but it's also breaking up my sidewalk or my driveway, and I'm not very happy. But they will drop all of their needles, and then it comes back like almost a deciduous tree would. Other evergreens, though, are going to be junipers, are going to be different varieties of hollies, whether it's Japanese hollies or American hollies or English hollies. There's boxwood. There's, of course, spruce and Douglas fir and all of the things that you associate like, oh, it's like a Christmas tree. It's like, yeah, they are all evergreen. Now, deciduous plants are trees and shrubs that lose their leaves over the winter. In studio, we have a hydrangea here on the table that will lose its leaves over the winter. Don't poo-poo deciduous plants. Too many people say, oh, no, I don't want it to lose its leaves. Look, you're running inside with your groceries and you're not paying attention to what your landscape is. A lot of times they'll have such dense stems along that plant that it doesn't really look like it doesn't have leaves. It's still full. Things like barberry, woodgelia, also ninebark, excellent deciduous plants that should be used in the landscape. Deciduous plants are a fantastic way to bring color and texture into your landscape when used with evergreens. All right, here's another thing. Grafting. It's a grafted plant. I've got to say that probably means it's expensive. Now, there are grafted. It's a propagation technique used by horticulturists throughout the world, and it combines 2 or more plants, and basically it kind of glues them together. The rootstock is going to be different than the top, and most roses are grafted. Now, there are some that are not, but a lot of times they may have issues with black spot and disease. Now, again, all of the fruit trees, dwarf conifers, there are even vegetables that are grafted. Like we've had grafted tomatoes. And the whole point is where you want the benefit of the top portion, which is also called the scion, but its natural root isn't as aggressive as what you're grafting it onto. And I have seen, I think it was in 2015 to where a guy took a fruit tree and had 20 different fruits grafted on the one rootstock. It's pretty amazing. I don't know if I'd want that, but it was cool. And that the fact that he was able to do that was pretty amazing. Now, again, when you see like rose trees, that's actually 3 different parts. The root is different from the center part, and then the head of the rose is actually something different. If you want to see a graft when you're in your local garden center and you see different trees, follow along the trunk to the root system, and usually you'll see like a knot that's there, and you can see it's a different color wood. You go up to the top portion, and then there's another knot. Japanese maples, always, the majority are all grafted. And it's an amazing thing that has really expanded our ability to use landscape plants in the landscape. All right, going on to weeds. Pre-emergent versus post-emergent. Now, you might as well throw in there, it is selective and non-selective. Pre-emergent stops the weeds before they emerge. Pre-emergent. Post-emergent. The weeds come up, they're growing, actively growing, and they've post-emerged, so you need to use a type that will take care of it after. Like, for instance, if you have crabgrass in your lawn and it's already actively growing, you can't put a crabgrass preventer in because that is a pre-emergent. It's already up, so you missed it. So post-emergent is what you would have to use once it's growing. Selective and non-selective herbicides. Selective means like you can put it on your lawn and it will only select the weeds to kill. Like when you put down a weed and feed on your lawn, that it will select killing the weeds but not the grass. Now, non-selective means it kills everything. So things like Roundup, things like you should be concerned when you're using vinegar, like an organic. It just is not selective. It's non-selective. It kills everything. Invasive. Invasive just means that it's too aggressive and it grows too fast, and that before we went on air, we were talking about wisteria. There are types of wisteria that are invasive plants. There's now English ivy has become an invasive plant. So those are things that just are too aggressive and that get put on a list. Nobody wants to be on the list. Now, I often joke that if you want a plant that grows really fast, really well, buy something from the invasive species list. But you'll have more of a headache because it'll take over some of your other plants. Native plants, very popular, versus hybrids. Now, or what I love from Dr. Armitage, nativars. Native plants are plants that originally grew here. Okay. Hybrids, there are some hybrids like say, oh, we found this plant in China. We're going to go and propagate it and we're going to sell it to all the people on the East Coast. Sometimes they'll find out that it becomes invasive, but they'll also say, oh, no, it's beautiful. It's so different. How come it's so cool? But I like the plants that are native species that are hybridized so that they have great varieties that make them flower longer. A lot of times the native plant is the original weedy looking plant and you're not going to be happy. So if you go with a native plant that has a great variety, and again, like coneflower, it's a nativar. So go with those species that have a varietal where the science has improved the native version. I think the nativar is a great compromise. If you've got questions about terms that you hear in horticulture jargon, please call the hotline. That number is 609-685-1880. We'll be right back right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood.
If you're looking for a specific potting soil for your house plants rather than just a generic professional potting soil that sometimes, let's just say, it can be a little soggy, the Cape Netic Blend Organic and Natural Indoor Houseplant Mix from Coast of Maine is what you're looking for. It's specially formulated for indoor houseplants and flowers using a coarse coconut core, that's important, perlite and aged bark to optimize drainage and aeration for robust root development. The coconut core is what true gardeners and professionals are looking to replace some of the peat moss that are in most potting soil blends. It adds a little more air around the root system without having it dry out. The peat sometimes gets a little wet. Do you have any fungus gnats flying around? That happens too. So if you've got the coconut core in your mix, it's something that's going to be better certainly for indoor houseplants. So whether you're growing peace lilies, spider plants, philodendrons, monsteras, or other popular or exotic houseplants, this unique compost-free blend provides the optimum structure and benefits for nurturing strong, beautiful indoor plants. And again, that's the Cape Netic Blend Indoor Houseplant Mix by Coast of Maine. Look for it at your local garden center. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So many people judge gardeners by the size of their tomatoes. But every experienced gardener knows that size doesn't matter. It's the volume of the maters that matter. Exclamation point. You got it? These two early applications can increase the quality and volume of yours. First of all, blossom end rot, and that's what we're primarily talking about. Blossom end rot affects tomatoes where it looks like there's a scab on your tomato. And you think that it's an insect or it's a disease, but it really isn't. It is a calcium deficiency. Our best solution for blossom end rot is for one, use Magical from Jonathan Green. That's right, it's a lawn product, but it has the Magical, magnesium, iron, calcium, and it adds the calcium to the soil that your vegetable plants are needing. Now, tomatoes aren't the only thing that get blossom end rot. Eggplant does, and so do peppers. That if you use this in your garden, it will help your garden. Now, there are two types of Magical that you'll see. There's one that's in a silver bag, and there's also one that comes in a black bag. That black bag has a mixture of both Magical and love your soil that will work in your soil to make it softer, to make it have better drainage. Just think of it as similar to gypsum, but better. You're feeding your soil is what you're doing. Again, it's not a disease. It's a calcium deficiency, and that you want to use something in the soil to stop it pretty much before you plant. So once it's affected, blossom end rot is not going away. So there's sometimes that it might be best if you see it occur, because it can occur on young tomatoes. Pull them off. Just pull them off. Don't leave them in the garden. Just pull them off and throw them out. The other cause of blossom end rot is a combination of the calcium deficiency, but also where you're watering, you're stressing your plant out. It's going wet and then dry and then wet and then dry and then wet and then dry. You might be better off mulching your tomato plants so that they aren't going through those extreme hydrating when it's summertime. And again, we usually have a drought at some point during the summer. You want a nice consistency, and I know it's hard. Moist but not wet. What the heck does that mean? But that's what you're looking for. Again, Magical and the Magical Plus product from Jonathan Green is what you want, and you want to put it in your garden. I know it's a lawn product, but it's not technically a fertilizer. It is a soil amendment, okay? And then you also want to get your watering down so that you're not going from wet to extreme dry to wet to extreme dry, because that is causing those scabs on the bottom of your tomato. Not an insect, not a disease. There's also a blossom set spray that I want to talk about. It's a hormone that helps you set the fruit if your blossoms are falling off your plant. So it's tomato blossom set. How do I feel about it? I think I should leave it up to you. It is a hormone, and it is adjusting the plant, and it does help the plants to pollinate so they end up with more yield. Consider it. Decide what you want to do. I'm not totally sold, to be quite honest with you, but it is something that you see regularly on the shelves at garden centers and home centers. So read the labels. I can't tell you more. Read the labels so that you educate yourself. But again, blossom end rot is a big deal, tomatoes especially, and that you want to have a good source of calcium using Magical, and then also too much water, wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. You got to cut that out. Go ahead and mulch your garden. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with the #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So what's bugging you? Chinch bugs are bugging me. So this is something in your lawn, and it turns the lawn yellow, and it gets thin, and it sometimes is mistaken for like a drought or disease. But what happens is it's a hairy chinch bug. Yeah, it sounds gross. This insect is from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, from here, from the Northeast all the way to Minnesota, south to Virginia. And it goes and it sucks the juices out of your lawn. Okay. Again, it's a surface feeding. So it lays eggs on the surface, they hatch, then they go and they end up being able to pierce their mouth parts onto the grass, and it sucks the sap, and it also will inject toxins into the crown of the stems of grass. And this can spread disease and do different things. But the issue is that it generally makes your lawn yellow. Oh, I need to fertilize it. Maybe not. Maybe you need to put down an insect control. So there's multiple generations of these insects. And again, they're chinch bugs. The overwintering adults, they start becoming active when the temperature's in the 40s. So they're going on right now. Now, they are spread mostly by walking, and then they feed and they will mate, and then females begin laying eggs about 2 weeks after. Get this, peak egg laying occurs from early May through early June, about the time when white clover is in bloom. Hopefully you don't have white clover, but again, it's right now basically. And that the females, each one lays about 170 eggs and live about 100 days. The eggs hatch several weeks early in spring, and then they continue to create more and more and more. Now, if you can control that first generation of adults and continue after it, then you're going to clean everything up. Otherwise, you'll be basically battling yellow grass the entire time. So what do you use? It's actually pretty easy. Now, we talk all the time about the thrin. So again, it's a permethrin that it's the natural version is made from chrysanthemum flowers, but it doesn't have a long residual. Like we play all the time, the triple action, and that contains the organic version, 2 organic insecticides, but it doesn't last very long. You want to use the man-made version. Again, there's ones that you'll see. It's lambda solutrin, okay? You're going to look for, again, the active ingredient. Does it have thrin on the end? Bifenthrin, that's another one. Permethrin. Those are the man-made ones, and the reason why they're man-made, it takes the science from the organic one, and it switches it so that it will last longer. That is why it is not organic. Chinch bugs, they are a big problem. Surface feeding insect, okay? We have grubs, they're number 1. I think that chinch bugs are number 2. So get after it, and get after it now, so that you don't have a problem all season and you're not confused where your lawn will look great rather than thinking that it's a disease or it's drought, something else. Again, get after those chinch bugs right now, and you'll control them for the whole season. We'll be back in the garden right after these messages. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York Tri-State Area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Hey, thank you for listening today. You can hear us the same time next week. Tell your friends. You can listen to us anytime on YouTube or your favorite podcast provider. We'll see you next week right here in the garden.